Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Veronica, and today I woke up tired and angry. Tired because I haven't been able to sleep properly for the past 4 weeks. Angry because I haven't been able to sleep for the past 4 weeks. Okay, it's frustrating. I'm just like, can you let me sleep for a one solid night? No? Okay, well then you get this version of me. Okay, so I thought having all of this energy would be a good time to talk about the male loneliness epidemic, because at least then I might be productive today. I don't know. Anyway, most people already know what the male loneliness epidemic is, etc., etc. And I think, like most women, that it is self-inflicted. So, I just want to start this with a disclaimer, a clarification, okay? Not all men are part of the group I'm talking about, okay? When I say men in this video, I talk about the men that uses this as a justification to mistreat other people, but mainly women in this case. If you are someone who, you happen to be a man who is lonely for whatever reasons, you're struggling with your mental health, you don't have access to healthcare or support, maybe you live in a place like far out in nowhere that you don't get a lot of social stuff, whatever it is, when it is truly, hey, I have the drive, but I am lonely. If that is just what you are, you're not part of the men that I'm talking about in this video. If you are a man who considers himself lonely, but you are using it as a justification to take it out on other people rather than turning indoor. What was that? Still new to my apartment. New sounds all the time. That was weird. Anyway. If you use it as a justification to mistreat other people rather than looking inwards and like, okay, I have all of this ability, I have all of these opportunities, yada, yada, yada. If you are one of those, this video is about you. Just clarifying that. Now, loneliness is a growing problem in our society, absolutely, but it's not a gendered thing. Everyone is getting more and more isolated. More and more people are struggling with the feeling of being lonely, being alone. And I want to be also very clear here, just because you are alone doesn't mean that you're lonely. It just happens to have a big overlap because we are in a society that is highly structured for the duality, the married, the coupled, the one and two, all of that stuff. You get benefits from it. Everything in society is kind of built around it. If you go out to have dinner, asking for one, how much judgment can you get? Like, I don't care. I'm here for that good ass steak, okay? I'm good for that pasta, okay? Like, anyway, get some good pasta, all right? Even if you go out on your own, sit at that like restaurant, enjoy your fucking time. If that pasta is good, okay? But it is a growing problem in our society. There's no getting away from that. And it was exacerbated by COVID and how the society changed a little bit or a lot in that, and the mentality very much changed. So calling it a male loneliness epidemic, my personal opinion is that it is once again centering men in a universal experience and coddling men to say, let women take care of it, because you as a man, you are never at fault. You are perfection. There's nothing in this situation that you can do. It is women's fault. Those pesky little bitches. That is kind of how we are treating it. Women and men are experiencing loneliness to roughly the same amount. Last I saw was roughly a difference of 1 to 2%. Yet we don't focus on women. We don't call it a female loneliness epidemic. We don't talk about the loneliness that women experience. No, we're always focused on male loneliness. So again, we're just coddling men in a situation where it's not gendered. We're gendering a situation, a behavior, a trait, an issue that is not gendered. But it is something that speaks to men. And we see this very dangerously speaking to men, manosphere, incels, violence, all of that stuff. Yeah, we all remember that, right? The way things are phrased is very much men are having a problem. Men are suffering. Men are suffering in silence. It's not very much silence, okay? Again, going back to the beginning, the men who are actually struggling with this for reasons that are outside of their own control, they are suffering in silence. They are the ones you don't hear about, okay? Check in on your friends. These men are so not the thing. You know, they are not suffering in silence. I have made a video earlier, like 2 years ago or so, talking about how men deserve better. And I encourage you, if you're a man, even if you're a woman too for that matter, to check it out. It is called Men Deserve Better. And it has nothing to do with women. Absolutely nothing. It essentially is men deserve to be treated better by other men. That's the whole thing. You need to take charge of your own connections and your community, all of that stuff, because you deserve to be treated better. You deserve better things from men, because the biggest perpetuators of this is men. And I really, really need people to understand that men who are complaining about being lonely and then turn around and say women are at fault, you are so stupid. Okay? Women suffer with loneliness too, but we don't take it out on men going like, oh, I am lonely because men don't give me enough money, or they don't cook enough. What? Something like that. Women are just like, okay, I'm lonely. Let's connect. Don't get me wrong. It is very, very difficult to do so because we're all very busy with just surviving. We don't really have a lot of energy to dedicate to maintaining and creating intimate relationships with other people, platonic, romantic, sexual, whatever it may be. I would generally recommend that you focus on the platonic ones. If you're struggling with being alone or lonely, then those are the ones you actually need. I think that if you are struggling with loneliness and you go looking for romantic stuff, I think you're gonna put yourself in a position where it's not gonna be healthy no matter what. You're gonna put yourself in a position where you are in danger. Because anyway, that's not part of this. Loneliness is a scourge upon our society at large. It's not gendered, but we focus on men because patriarchy, because society, because men are never told no. They are not told to behave properly. They're never taught how to clean. They're never taught on how to maintain a household. They're never taught accountability and expectations. So then they grow up into a world that needs them to do all of those things, and suddenly they don't know how to manage that. And they look at women who are able to do all of those things and they are jealous. They are scared because this story that was sold to them growing up, you were the chosen one. Everything was meant to be yours. You were supposed to become the peak athlete because you're that good. You were supposed to become peak academic because you're just that good. The girl that everyone finds the most attractive was supposed to be yours because you're just that important. You were supposed to graduate at the top of your class and then get a good first job that then leads directly to a high-paying job because you are a man. That is what you deserve. And then that woman is gonna marry you for simply existing. And she is meant to take care of the house for you. She is meant to cater to you. And then she's supposed to give you children, preferably a boy, so that that boy can then pass on the legacy that is you because you are that important. And then she is supposed to not only care about you, care for you, She's caring for the children and the household. She's also the one who's supposed to organize your life because you are that important, you are that busy. And then suddenly, that's not a thing. Suddenly, that is just pulled away. That book, that story is just taken away, and reality looks back at you, and you can't cope. Because you bought into a story that was fed to you by the system, by your parents, by your grandparents, by everyone around you. Books that features girls, that's not for boys because you can't relate. You never learned to relate. You never learned to see someone else as human. You never learned to see their experiences as something important and of value. It was all about you, always you. And then suddenly when that's not the case, you can't deal. And to a certain degree, that's not your fault. It really isn't. You were never taught the tools. You were never shown that this was a problem. But the moment you learn, every choice you make is yours. Empathy is not an inherent trait. You can practice it. You can learn it. The same way you can learn reading, the same way you can learn speaking. It is something you learn. You look around like, hey, that person made me feel good. Why? Because they talked to me with empathy. They looked at me with compassion and listened to my struggles. I want to make other people feel as good as they made me feel. What was that? Go and learn. Every choice, every act you make after you are made aware is a choice you make. You won't be able to change everything about yourself. You won't be able to learn everything at once. No one is perfect. And I think that anyone who's expecting that of another person, you are the problem too. No one, not a single person is perfect. You might know about XYZ and then look at another person like, you don't know XYZ? Yeah, well, you don't know ABC that they know. It's a give and take. We're constantly learning. But if you approach existence with curiosity and compassion, that's the biggest step you can take, because you will be humble in the face of things you don't know, humble in the face of other people's struggles and experiences, the same way that they will be about yours. If you want women to care about your struggles, you need to care about women's struggles. If you want women to help fix your issues, you need to help women fix their issues. And most of women's issues are you. You need to fix yourself to help women fix their issues. Because you are women's biggest predator. You are women's biggest hurdle. You are women's biggest drain. I cannot explain this in any clearer way. You deserve better from yourself. You deserve better from men around you. Women and non-binary people, anyone outside of being a man, deserves better from you. Men struggling with loneliness is a serious thing. It does not give you the justification, the excuse to mistreat other people. You are not struggling because women are being treated more like equals. You didn't miss out on that income because a black man got it. Because DEI. That's not how that works. They still need to have the same competence and skills that you do to be considered for that job. They just happened to have more than you. Other people are not the problem. You first need to deal with yourself, okay? The same way I do, the same way everyone else do. I am struggling with things and I need to take charge of those first. Some of those things are not mine to take charge of because they're outside of my control. You are not entitled to help. Ooh, hello, where are you going? Let's take a moment. Hello. Stay where you are, please. Lost my train of thought a little bit. Basically, being lonely, this loneliness epidemic is once again coddling men, keeping them from accountability and expectations and it is not benefiting men to be treated that way, okay? I cannot for the life of me understand how men don't feel more insulted by society thinking that you are incompetent, that you are a child that needs to be cuddled, and that you can't take care of yourself, that you are so empty in here that women have to be taking care of everything. You're the head of the household, but you're not able to take care of kids. You're the head of the household, but finances, that's her thing. She's paying rent. She's the one dealing with all of these things. You're the head of the household, but you need her to schedule your dentist appointment, to remind you about it. Oh, maybe you had kids. Maybe show some interest in that, but you're incapable of doing that because you're just a little man. How are you not more insulted by that? How are you not embarrassed by that? Why do you need people to cater to you if you're such a strong, manly leader, protector? Where? Where have you shown those traits? Oh, I am a man and I am violent, therefore I am. No. Again, you're people's biggest predators. Okay? That's not what man is. That is not you being a leader. That's you potentially being a tyrant. Oh, wait, that's why Trump is so big in America. That's why we're going back to fascism all around the world. Great. And that is still put on women as if it's women's fault that you are a fascist? No. You being a fascist is you being a fascist because you choose to be one. Black people are not making you a fascist. Women are not making you a fascist. You are choosing to be a fascist. Now, we veered away from the loneliness a little bit, but the thing is, the way it is phrased, the way it's framed, makes it so that all of those touch points has to be addressed. Because it's not about fucking loneliness. It is about entitlement. It's about you buying into that story about you being the chosen one, that you deserve the world, when that was always a lie. Always been a lie, but it's more comfortable for you to blame women for your problems, to blame Black people for taking your job, for not getting the opportunity that you deserve, that it's easier to blame women who are working on themselves as having too high standards, instead of looking inwards and saying, maybe I need to improve. Instead of looking at yourself and saying, hey, I want to do better so that maybe this person I find interesting actually find me appealing. Instead of doing the work, you look at her and go, she's too picky, and then she has too high standards, and then you start to try and tear her down instead of leveling up yourself. She doesn't owe you her body, her attention, her interest, her love, nothing. She does not owe you anything for you simply existing. But that is the problem that this loneliness epidemic actually is about. You're not entitled to anything. You need to stop buying into that fake story because it's making you angry and miserable and dangerous. And being dangerous is not a good thing. It's not flattering. It's not desirable. It's like, oh, I want a dangerous man. No, you fucking don't. Not a single woman wants an actually dangerous man. You're still buying into the fiction that men being animals and like and don't get me started on the animal thing. Like, how are you not embarrassed about people just looking at you and thinking that you have a lower brain power, that you are not a sentient enough in order to actually function, so that everyone has to cater to you and cuddle you and, oh my god, a little pet. I want a little pet. How are you not insulted by that? You know what? I lost my train of thought again. So I'm just gonna wrap it up by saying that we are, as humans, social creatures. We exist in tribes, in groups, in friendships. That's who we are. So dealing with loneliness is really difficult. It is something that we as a community, as a group, needs to support each other through. We need to go out our way to check in on people. And if your friends don't check in on you, you need to go and develop friendships where they do. We're just having a loneliness epidemic that we need to deal with. But it's not male loneliness. It's an all thing. Thank you very much for watching. Drop your comments down below and I will see you in the next one. Bye!